What happens when a dynasty hits a bump in the road? When an up-and-comer gets run down? When a veteran steps down and a rookie steps in? And finally, what happens when disappointment becomes a constant? The answers? Next on the 2014 High School Football Preview Show.
Hi, I'm Kevin Colgett, head football coach at St. Albert Catholic High School.
Hey, I'm John Wolf, head coach at Abraham Lincoln Football. This is Jim Duggan, head football coach at Lewis Central High School.
I'm Mark Puev, head football coach at Thomas Jefferson High School.
The Bluffs Sports Zone.
The Bluffs Sports Zone. The Bluffs Sports Zone
Starts right now.
Hello, I'm JJ Davis, and welcome to this very special edition of the Bluffs Sports Zone. Well, the 2014 high school football season is here, and you know it couldn't come too soon enough for a bunch of birds up on the hill. This video sums it up. The Falcon season shot down by injuries. St. Albert features 5 different quarterbacks running the show in its first 6 games. The Falcons here score 56 points against West Central Valley without starters at 15 of 22 positions. But it doesn't matter. Head coach Kevin Colgett's team runs its district winning streak to 53 games. But then comes the second round of the playoffs. 10th-ranked Ogden forces 6 turnovers. The Bulldogs kick St. Albert 12-10. The Falcons finish at 10-1. St. Albert does not make it to the quarterfinal round for the first time in 15 years. And you know, the thing that struck me about that game was some of the parents took it harder, if not as hard as some of the players. But then again, when you've made it to the Dome in 9 of the last 10 seasons, losing a second-round playoff game, Kevin Colgett, was
It's a bitter pill to swallow, I guess. Yeah.
Have you gotten over it?
No, you never get over those losses. You know, you get over the victories early, but the losses, we don't have many of them. I don't ever get over a loss.
Either do I. But then again, it's a new season, so as always, hope springs eternal. About this year's team. Number one, you're dropping down in class. Your concerns?
Yeah, dropping down in class for us is kind of like repeating what happened 4 years ago. It's the same group of guys. You know, we've got Logan in there, we got Griswold in there, we got Tri-Center in there, we got Audubon in there. So dropping down in class just means it took us a couple years to get back to where we were 4 years ago. Same players, same good coaches, same good teams.
And same old story, perchance, areas of concern. You were telling me you've lost 17 seniors, you have 11 on the roster, but just 4 sophomores and 4 juniors.
Yeah, we've got a different group this year. You know, we've got 11 seniors, a good quality group, but only 4 sophomores and 4 juniors. So your depth is going to be an issue. And of course, we're going to have to play a lot of young guys with 17 freshmen.
Skill guys always seem to be not a problem at St. Albert, but some of the big guys up front are.
You know, we've got a couple really good big guys back. It's the other 2 or 3 that we have to kind of mold here in the next few weeks. It's a concern for us. But they've been working hard. So
17 freshmen. You were telling me that some of these kids got to grow up fast.
Yeah, you know, you never want to play freshmen unless they're ready to go. This is a good group. They're really physically and mentally ready to play the game. But, you know, going against TJ, having to know you're going to probably put 5, 6, 7 freshmen on the field, that leaves you a little bit concerned.
But they had some success in the lower leagues.
Yeah, they've had tremendous success. We've kind of known this gap was coming. This has been a good group. They've been well coached. It's a physically mature group. And they've done a lot of good things in the weight room to put themselves in a position to help us this season.
Now, you were telling me in Class A ball, much more run-oriented. Well, let me get this straight. St. Albert ran the ball 493 times last year. You're going back to the I formation, so what else is new?
Yeah, it just kind of repeats itself, you know. I think we've been in 5 different offenses the 5 years I've been there. So everything from the wishbone to the full spread and the zone read. So we go back to our comfort zone. Every year we try to fit our offense and our defense to the players we have. And we feel like we've got a good team this year that can run some play action stuff and do some things on the ground and kind of eat up some clock and let us mature a little bit by the end of the season.
So who's going to pull the trigger this year?
Travis Miller's out there, you know. You're talking about a kid who made great strides last year after taking a couple years off from football. I thought he played tremendously well down the stretch and in the playoffs. Being a junior, he's going to provide us with some leadership there, and he's a quality athlete.
But the way I've seen it at St. Albert, it's always somewhat been running back by committee.
It is, and it will be again this year, although we're hoping John Myron can come back there and really tote the rock for us quite a bit. We've got some young athletes behind him, so he's going to carry the load early until those young guys can develop. But John will do a good job for us back there at the tailback.
You talk John Myrie. To me, he's always been the secret weapon, but he was kind of kept secret last year because he was hurt, dislocated elbow. He hit just 2 field goals last year. His long was 44. But people forget, he led Class 1A in scoring 2 years ago, so you're looking for big things from him, especially on special teams.
Oh, I'm not going on a limb to say he's the best kicker in the state. I mean, he traveled around all summer long going to camps, and he's the best kicker in the state of Iowa. He just was hurt last year, and it's hard to kick with a cast on your arm. So, we lost him in week 4. He came back and kicked for us, but he'll be a weapon for us all over the field, defensively, offensively, and of course on special teams.
You speak of defense. You've lost 7 of your 8 top tacklers, but the big stud, Gage Bowman's back.
Yeah, Gage is back. And a lot of those guys, those seniors, they lost half their season last year as juniors with injury. And Gage is one of them. He was playing about as well as anybody we had on defense when he got hurt, and he's going to do a great job for us this year.
But every time I think of St. Albert, the Falcons' defense, opportunistic, forced 35 turnovers last year. This season, hopefully no different.
Coach Driver and the staff, that's what they focus on. We want to be optimistic. We want to score on defense. We just don't want to stop you. We want to take the ball away from you, give it to our offense, and flip the field whenever we have the opportunity.
All right, let's talk about the schedule. Sets up pretty well as far as I'm concerned. 3 of your first 4 at home. You play TJ, first time in a while.
Very excited about that. It's been a long time since we played TJ. It'd be a great city matchup for us. We don't know a lot about them. I know they're big and they got athletes. We're small and young, so that's not really a good matchup for me early, but it's going to be a great contest. Then we go to Trainer week 2. Real excited to play Trainer again. They got just incredible facilities. It's a good program and always a good game for us. And then here comes Logan again. So actually we're headed up there, and we all know about Logan and St. Albert. So
close out the regular season with 2 of your last 3 on the road.
Yeah, that'll give us some time to mature. I'm kind of happy for that. Logan will be a big test to put young kids on a bus and send them up there to that, hornet's nest we're going to face there. But by the end of the season, I think we'll be a good team. We'll be able to handle ourselves on the road.
All right, now I feel like I ask you this question every year. St. Albert's been to the playoffs 17 straight season. Hasn't lost a district game since 2006, so pressure.
I don't know. I guess there's always pressure. It's more of an expectation level than I guess pressure. And this year's group of seniors, their motto's been bring tradition back, and it's always been the way we've done it there, where we just go game to game, try to get ourselves in a position to get in the playoffs, try to be healthy and be playing our best football at the end.
Quickly, what about the fact that your season was blown up last year by injuries? So any more trepidation coming into this season, knowing the invaluable is always there?
You can't coach like that. You got to prepare your kids, and you got to go down with the 11 best, healthiest kids you got on Friday night. And fortunately, I've got a great coaching staff that allows us to overcome some of that stuff.
As always, I'll see you, TJ, Coach.
You bet.
You're the man.
JJ, thank you.
Thank you. Up next, a little bit later, the young and restless at AL. But next up, the man with the plan when we come back.
At Council Bluffs Savings Bank, we take pride in our community, volunteering our time to helping individuals, families, and businesses succeed. We are Council Bluffs people operating a Council Bluffs bank to help Council Bluffs be a better place to work and live. Hometown banking, the way it used to be.
This portion of the Bluff Sports Zone is brought to you by Toby Jack's Mineola Steakhouse, serving customers with dine-in, catering, takeout, banquet room, and more. Toby Jack's Mineola Steakhouse, home of the Thursday night taco ride.
The 2013 season does not shake out as well as planned. The Titans, here on defense, dropped each of their first 3 games by 7 points or less. Lewis Central then cuts it loose, running off 3 straight wins. LC and Jim Duggan head into the playoffs, winning 4 of their last 6 games. But then comes Spencer. 3 Tigers run for over 100 yards. Spencer runs away from the Titans 35-25. Lewis Central finishes the season at 4-6. So a bad beginning, encouraging middle, and a disappointing ending for LC last year. However, some good news and bad news, depending on how you look at it. Lewis Central is moving on up from Class 3A to 4A Hacksaw.
It's kind of like the old game we played when we were kids. Red Rover, send Lewis Central right over. So that's what it kind of feels like.
It's no secret, though, you've played some 4A teams before. You split with AL, split with Indianola, and you've beaten TJ.
We have, and I think our kids are comfortable moving up because we have played up over the last couple of years, right. But they haven't seen the likes of Dowlings and Johnstons and Sioux City East, so that'll be a learning curve for us. But I think that the kids are motivated.
And you got some good kids, 16 starters coming back right off the bat.
And that sounds good on paper, I guess,
That's
but
right.
16 and probably 8 or 9 of those guys are two-way guys. So that makes a little bit of a difference with regard to we just, a depth problem. That's what we have.
You were telling me, depth problems as always. It seems like every team has that problem on the O&D lines.
Definitely. Our kids up front on both sides of the ball, we just don't have a lot of size, and we just don't have a lot of numbers, and so that's going to be the part that we really have to focus on early and just make sure that we got that taken care of.
Early is a key word, strength of schedule. Now, you've told me in the past that your first 4 games will dictate the rest of your season.
Oh, absolutely. I think they will. We opened with Sergeant Bluff, who I think will probably, I haven't seen any preseason ratings, but I got to believe that they're going to be a top 10 team, and then we got AL at home, on the road at Harlan, and then back home at TJ. So those are some critical games.
You were telling me before that, you played some 3A teams that are much like the middle of the road 4A teams. But then when you get to that top tier, like at Dowling Catholic, then you could be in trouble.
Yeah, those are different types of games that we haven't ever seen before or experienced. So like I say, that will be a big learning curve for us. But it's an exciting opportunity for our kids because they get to play against kids that are being nationally recruited. And so it's an opportunity, a great opportunity.
And speaking of exciting, it starts and ends on offense for me with your quarterback, Austin Simmons, 3-year starters, committed to South Dakota, led the team in rushing last year, threw for over 1,800 yards and 20 touchdowns. He's the guy.
He really has progressed over the last couple of years. He will be our trigger man, obviously, but he's only going to be as good as we are up front or as good as we can run the football. So we've just got to focus on making sure that we can protect and give him some time to throw.
Running the football, Ryan Main, 80 carries last year. Who else needs to step it up in that backfield?
Well, Ryan's going to be the guy this year. He came in last year about midway through the season, ended up starting for us, had a great year as a sophomore. Only going to be a junior this year, only going to be a junior. So he'll be our workhorse at running back, tailback. So E.J. Borg will back him up a little bit. And, fullback, we got Ryan Scheidel, and we moved Chris Thomas to fullback, too.
Lost your top 3 receivers, but your big tight ends back, Mitchell Brinkman, he averaged a first down every time he caught the ball.
Mitch is back, and he will probably be one of Austin's primary targets. And we returned a number of kids that played sparingly last year, but are good athletes and are good receivers. So.
Defensive side of the ball, base defense, 4 your top 5 tacklers are back, led by the almighty Chris Thomas.
Chris is back. Mitch is going to be at the other defensive tackle. Ryan Scheidel's back. Caleb Schudak's back. Connor Hannafin's back at free safety. So we've got some kids that return back. Luke Sutherland, a defensive tackle. So we got guys coming back on that side of the ball.
But the thing that stands out about your defense the last couple of years, turnovers. You forced just 12 turnovers last year. You got to get some turnovers, make some plays.
In our league that we've been playing, a lot of people are zone read. They're not chucking it around, and people just don't put the ball on the ground from a running standpoint like they had in the past, and we just don't see a little bit of passing, not a lot. So I think that's probably has something to do with the turnover margin.
All right, the schedule again, top 4 games, but you end with the last 2 games at home. That might help you out either way.
Yeah, that's a positive. That middle stretch there will be a grind. But again, our kids are excited. Coaches are excited. We're very optimistic. It's just, we're going to roll up our sleeves and just get after it.
I was going to say, how is it going from one of the larger 3A schools to one of the smaller 4A schools? But yet you've played the Harlans of the world, the Crestons, that have helped prepare you for this.
Oh, yeah. The district we were in with ADM and Creston and Harlan and Glenwood and with Carroll, there were some good football teams there that could compete week in and week out at the next level. So I think that our kids will be prepared.
So in the end, you won a playoff game in 2010. You won a couple of years ago. Disappointing last season, and I know it's early, but how do you see this one going? Because you got a stud quarterback, got a lot of guys back. If things fall your way, how do you see it?
Well, our goal, and it's the same goal every year, is just to make the playoffs. We don't care if we come in the front door We don't care if we come in the back door. We just want to make a playoff, be one of the 4. And once that happens and you get to the playoffs, anything can happen from there.
Well, I appreciate it, Coach, and I can't wait to see you.
Looking forward to it.
The man, not Jim Duggan, but Hacksaw Jim Duggan, as always. Thank you, Coach.
Very much appreciate it.
Up next, a little bit later, a new beginning for the Yellow Jackets. But up next, there's a new sheriff in town at AL. After the break. Your future is here at CBTV. You're in the game. You take the shots. It's your story. The Media Studies program at Iowa Western. Real reality TV starring you. For more information, go to iwcc.edu.
The 2013 Abraham Lincoln Lynx.
The Lynx, some hungry cats early on. Abraham Lincoln runs wild against rival Thomas Jefferson. AL racks up 43 points in the first quarter en route to a 63-14 beatdown. The Lynx take some shots but find their way through, winning 5 of their first 7 games. 6th-year head coach Justin Camrad, not a happy camper. Abraham Lincoln, here on defense, loses its last 3. AL drops its first-round playoff game for the 6th year in a row. The Lynx end the season at 5-5. So, same old at Abraham Lincoln? Or is it? Head coach Justin Camrad steps down a few months ago, and he's now on the staff at Lewis Central. And in his place, well, a former player and 4-sport athlete. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing John Wolf. Has it set in yet?
We're getting closer. We're getting closer. I'm just, like I've told a few people, I'm ready to start playing. There's a lot of paperwork, a lot of stuff like this and that sort of stuff that kind of grinds on you. But I love being out of practice with the kids, and I'm ready to get started.
And I'm sure you love this question, but I'm sure you've heard it a million times. My first reaction was, he's 26 years old?
Yeah, it gets old. Been a lot of places, a lot of jokes about that sort of stuff, but at the same time, it motivates you. So I don't care. When we get onto the field, and I'm sure I'll get some of those same reactions, from the other coaches and that sort of thing. But I know what I have to offer, and I know what our team has to offer. So I wouldn't rather be anywhere else.
All right. Well, you've been in a couple of places the last number of years. Let's take a look at your resume. Played on varsity at AL 3 years. You go to Simpson. You led the team in picks a couple of years. Kick return yardage record, and then you spent the past 4 seasons at Adair Casey, an 8-man school. So how does each stop prepare you to be a head coach?
The thing that I've learned over the years is all the coaches I had were very personable. They were great motivators. Bob Forsythe at Abraham Lincoln, he's a fired up guy. Glogowski at Simpson, same way. Wade Anderson at Adair. And I've been with successful programs. So at Adair, we went 40-6, quarterfinals 3 times, semifinals once. So I've been around successful programs and just kind of learned how to relate to the players and how to win.
The Lynx, somewhat successful last season, just 5-5. 10 starters are back, but you lose Dylan Garner, a 1,000-yard rusher, and All-City Player of the Year in Brandon Colpitz. How do you replace those guys?
We got a lot of skill positions, players, and that sort of thing, and I think we'll be fine. Peyton Heffernan, obviously coming in. We'll talk about him plenty, I'm sure. Only had 98 carries last year. That's a guy he's going to have to carry the rock quite a bit more this year. Shino, stat at receiver, and there's a number of other guys that'll fill roles, and they will all do it with a great ability. So I'm not concerned about what we lost. The only things that we lost that I would look at and say, we're going to miss this or that, is we've talked about we're a little short on the line.
Right. You were telling me some of your areas of concern, depth-wise on the O-line, size-wise as well.
Yeah, we're in a position where we can't afford to lose anybody else. We got a few guys that can fill in, and they'll spare our guys a few minutes here and there. But we can't lose a lot. We're not very big. We're not very deep. We don't numbers-wise, we don't have a lot of linemen. So we just can't afford to lose anymore. But we'll make do with what we got. And I think what we got is great, and it's good enough to win, that's for sure.
Is Josh Krabby going to start at quarterback? And if he is, how does he compare to his brother Jake? Do you play
That's to be determined, right? You know, and you always say it's an open battle, right? So we've got we've got our scrimmage tomorrow evening, or Thursday evening, sorry, and that'll tell us more. We'll get those guys in live action for the first time since football camp over the summer. We'll see what we got, and as far as how he compares to his brother, they both threw great balls. Josh is a little smaller, but they're both smart. You know, he's making the reads. He's reading both sides of the field, and we look for great things from him.
Okay, you talked about Peyton Heffernan. He averaged over 9 yards per carry last year, but then again, defensively, I felt like the Lynx had to score a lot because they gave up over 27 points a game, so put a lot of pressure on the offense. Lost a number of guys on the D side from a year ago. Give me some names. Who's going to step up?
Step up, Tony Outlaw, Nick Hopkins. They'll be probably looking at DN, that sort of thing. Peyton will still have to step up at safety. We got some corners that are going to fill in, and that sort of thing. Some new backers, some younger blooded backer. Mason Motter transferred in from Omaha South. He's looking at vying for a backer position, and he's a guy that's been very aggressive. You know, it's been great. So I think we'll be fine. Like I said, we're a little short up front, but we can fill it in behind, and we'll be all right.
Does anything stand out on the schedule? Because this is your first rodeo. Any particular game or week stand out?
You know, I love our schedule, honestly. You know, we don't leave town for the first month. We're home away, but they're both, you know, TJ and LC, and then we're home again. So I think week 5 or 6 we go to Valley. That one stands out. I mean, that's kind of a landmark. Where are you really at? You know, we could win those first 4 or 5 or whatever it is, and if you go and if you lay an egg there, you kind of see where you're at on the state level. So that, you know, that's just something we talk about too with our kids is we talk about, you know, they complain about all state selections and things of that nature, and I tell them, you know, all these Des Moines kids that are getting on it, well, until we start beating those Des Moines schools regularly, that's the way it's going to be. So you got to make a name for yourself.
Let's talk about yourself. I watched you at the 7-on-7 against Glenwood. The Adair coaches told me that you're kind of a quiet guy. You just take it all in. You're not a screamer. Is that how you hope it goes this year?
You'd love it to go that way, wouldn't you? No, you know, I was actually joking with I met one of our officials the other day, and I said, you know, if I'm yelling at you, you really screwed up. I'm pretty mild-mannered.
Right.
You know, and I think everybody's got their own coaching style.
Right.
And I think mine works just as good as the next because we got kids. Kids nowadays are a little more sensitive than they used to be, you know, and that sort of thing. So I think even I personally in high school, I would rather been spoken to and told what to do, and I didn't need to be screamed at. And I got a lot of kids like that now too. So we got a lot of coaches. We got different abilities on our staff. You know, we got a few that'll yell at them, a few that'll motivate them, and then we got a few that'll talk to them, tell them what we need to do, right?
Well, I'll tell you, we're all looking forward to that first game of the year, John Wolf. I appreciate you coming in very, very much,
Yeah,
and I can't
no
wait to see you down the road.
I appreciate having me.
All right,
I'm
up
excited
next,
to get started.
he's excited to get started. How about the Yellow Jackets? Same deal for TJ. The wheels are beginning to turn, but will they stop this year? On the other side.
For more than a quarter century, thousands of Southwest Iowa athletes have relied on this team, Jenny Ed SportsMed. Their sole focus is to prevent, diagnose, and treat your sports injury. They even partner with the surgeons at Ortho West, ensuring you get your own exclusive roadmap back to action. Methodist Jenny Ed SportsMed invites all Southwest Iowa athletes to its free walk-in clinic, open every Saturday morning, August through October. Jenny Ed SportsMed.
This portion of the Bluffs Sports Zone brought to you by Cutler O'Neill, Meyer Woodring, family-owned funeral home, serving Council Bluffs in Southwest Iowa for over 100 years.
Everybody, like I said in there, has got to do some soul searching.
That kind of year for TJ in 2013. The Yellow Jackets open up with a win, and that's it. Glenwood outruns the Jackets in week 2. It's the beginning of the end. Thomas Jefferson loses 8 straight games. TJ drops the last 2 by scores of 88 and 72 to nothing. So, another frustrating, disappointing season for the Yellow Jackets. But it's a new year and a new beginning. And as a certain head coach once told me, Idle hands do the devil's work. Well, head coach Mark Puev, you've had just a devil of a time trying to turn that program around down on Broadway. But you did make some adjustments earlier this summer. Bonding, filling the culture, team camp.
Yeah, first thing we did as a team, we went to the high school player development camp in Des Moines over at Camp Dodge. It's an overnight deal, and it's a great opportunity for the kids to get together and start to come together as a team. Later in the summer, all schools usually have their own team camp, and we received an offer in early July to be able to come back to Camp Dodge and host our own team camp there for a couple nights. And so we did that, had a really good turnout, and I think that's something that we were hoping as a catalyst for something to kind of bring the team together.
And again, it's all about that culture, changing that culture, and it's been a work in progress at TJ. Also, the team as well. You come into this season, you got to replace 11 starters.
Yeah, you know, the big hit was in our skills, receivers, linebackers. The strength it is, but the strength is in our line where we return a lot of seniors. We're going to have some good leadership there, and we got a couple newcomers that can help fill those spots.
And another area of concern, as a certain head coach once told me, it's one thing to shoot yourself in the foot, but it's another to keep loading that gun. Turnovers just killed you last year.
Yeah, when you're a good team and you turn the ball over, you're going to have a hard time winning. And when you're a team that's struggling and you do it, you don't give yourself a chance. And that's basically what we want to do. And our big point of emphasis this year is to just give ourselves a chance in a game. If you lose, but don't beat yourself.
Special teams. I don't think you returned a kick for a touchdown last year, and on punt returns you averaged just 7 yards per return. So you really got to crank it up on special teams.
Yeah, that's the second point of emphasis right there. Is the year before we did have some success on our return game, both in punt and kick return. Last year, not so much. So it's something that again we kind of looked at some film and looked at some people, and we're trying to figure out who will give us the best chance to succeed in those areas.
And the best chance to succeed on both sides of the ball, you've told me, keep it simple, stupid. Trim the playbook on offense and defense.
Yep, the little acronym that everybody uses when they go in for a job interview. It really is. If you do a lot of things okay, you're not doing anything good.
Right.
And so we really are going to do that. We have our scrimmage coming on up here, and it's anybody in the world can come look at us because it's not going to be that fancy. We really want to concentrate on the few basic things of running and passing.
Everybody's going to know who your quarterback is. You're going to run the spread offense once again with Jason Wallace, but he struggled to me last year. He completed just 36% of his passes, 8 touchdowns, 12 picks. What are you looking for in Jason Wallace to improve?
Well, we're hoping that with what we're doing on the offensive line and our schemes right there being simplified, it's going to give him a little bit more time. The offensive line will be able to do that this year a lot better than I think in the past. By doing that, he is confident enough and he's done this long enough where he can make better decisions and hopefully get that ratio reversed in a big way.
4 or 5 guys back on your O-line, but what about in the backfield? You lose Stephen Ruby and his 128 carries. Who's going to pick up the load in the backfield to take some pressure off Jason?
Right now it's a two-headed monster with Gage Fisher and Griffin Koletsky. They've been doing the majority of the work. We have another young man in Robert Conley who hopefully can step up as the season progresses here as he gets a little more snaps.
What about this Bobby Daly kid, this transfer from Georgia? I've heard a little bit about him. How's he going to fit in? What's he going to do?
He's one of the newcomers that's going to help us out at those skill positions at receiver and defensive back. Great kid, nice kid, one of the most polite people you ever talk to. He's another one of those people that if you could clone him so you could have him for future generations, you would.
Defensive side of the ball, need a lot of help, Coach. You lost those 8 straight games last year. The defense gave up an average of 57 points a game. You just need to totally revamp or do what to that defense?
Well, the first thing comes from what we talked about earlier is that the turnovers have got to be eliminated because you can't ask your defense to defend 10 yards at a time. When you're giving the ball over deep in your territory all the time, it's not going to help them at all, and it really skews those numbers a lot.
Who's going to step out on defense?
I really think that we're going to have a couple people in the secondary. I think Bobby Daly will be one. I think we might have a young man by the name of Gage Sarita. He's a junior. He'll be playing that safety. I think a couple of the linemen in the light of Devin Kermode, I think they're going to help us out up front too.
All right, let's help out with the schedule. First game in a while you start at St. Albert.
Yep, you know, we're going to be playing over there with their new bleachers that they're
From
getting.
Rosenblatt Stadium.
Yep, that they're getting. So we're going to be over there for the first game. Should be pretty exciting. Then we have a couple home games against Glenwood and AL. And then we go on the road down to Lewis Central to finish our non-district games.
But the good thing about your schedule is that you were saying the other day, just 2 games away from Council Bluffs.
Yeah, we only leave the town twice. We go to Southeast Polk, I think, in week 6 or 7, and then at the end of the season we go to Ames.
All right, now there are some indications to me that the program is moving in the right direction. You've got more coaches this year. You lost 3, but you picked up 6. Your strength and conditioning program was tweaked a bit earlier this summer. And the numbers game, I saw a lot more, or a little bit more, you could say, players in full force out at camp.
Yeah, I think last year we were at around 47 for our 10 through 12. Right now, I just looked at it this morning, looking, you know, got a couple of kids that are still missing, but I think we were at 58 bodies in uniform yesterday. So hopefully that's picking up a little. We got about 30 freshmen out right now. So again, our numbers are up about 15-ish from last year, and I think we'll still get some trickling in.
All right, now here's the bottom line for me. You've won 6 games in 3 years. So how do you get these kids to continue to buy in to what you're selling?
It has to be important to them, and they have to see some sort of progress, some sort of results. And like I said, when you get them to buy in together as a team and as a family, I think there's that vested interest that they'll start to believe in.
Well, I believe you. I just hope it turns out that way on the football field. I can't wait to see you at Al Lieber Field against St. Albert. Thanks,
we
Coach.
look forward to seeing you.
Look forward to seeing you as well. So there you go. As far as high school football is concerned, the season's set to kick off. Thomas Jefferson goes to good old St. Albert. AL is home at CB Stadium, and Lewis Central hits the road. Then there's the second-ranked Reavers. Iowa Western kicks off its season the next day against Coffeyville. We'll have highlights from those games on our next show. But remember to keep it here for more news and information in your community by tuning in to the Council Bluffs News with Marie Zeitner. So, for this very special edition of Bluff Sports Zone, I'm JJ Davis, and as always, I'll see you around.